Hello everyone, welcome to Marketing Research MKTG 457. This is chapter 8. In this chapter, let's talk about another way of conducting marketing research, which is observation. Observation is the topic for today. Okay? After this chapter, you should be able to discuss the role of observational technologies as marketing research tools, one of the tools. Know the difference between direct and contrived, direct versus contrived observation. Okay? Identify ethical issues particular to research using observation. There are many ethical issues involved if you conduct observation as a research method. Okay? And explain the observation of physical objects and message content. Okay? Describe major types of mechanical observations and summarize techniques for measuring physical reactions. Okay? If you have studied science or have this science background, you know that scientists rely heavily on observations in studying our physical world. Okay? Observations play a key role in discovering ideas and developing theories. And many theories, ideas came from observation, and simple observation. Inductive learning begins with collections of observations. We know there are deductive versus inductive learning. Inductive learnings, you start out with collection of observations, phenomena, and then you summarize, extract theories from that. Okay? There are technologies and observation in marketing research. Right? So what is observation? Okay? Observation is a process, a systematic process of recording the behavior patterns of people, objects, and occurrence as they take place. Remember, key issues here, you can observe and record, not just the people, but objects and occurrence of things as they take place, as ongoing. Right? So it's a systematic process of recording that behavior patterns. Okay? There are advances in technology that have given a bigger role of observational research tools in marketing research because of the tools we have. There are more tools in our toolbox. Okay? Observation can be useful part of either qualitative or quantitative research. We talk about the qualitative versus quantitative research. We can use observation for either one of them, right, for both. Okay? Scientific observation addresses a research question aimed at discovering market knowledge. That's what we want to do. Okay? What kind of technological advances in observations? Internet, cell phone, cellulars, and social networkings, and near field technologies have fueled the big data analytics. Okay? Because most of this data gathering involve no two-way communication, no survey or interview. It's just observe, right? No two-way communications. These type of data qualify as observational. It's observational. It's not that you just observe with your naked eyes. You can use other tools, use internet, social networking software to observe because there's no two-way communication, right? They qualify as observational data. Okay? And the technologies like that, like social media, internet, cell phones, they leave behind a systematic recording of what people actually did. What people actually did is recorded. Okay? These technologies also enable data collection to be automated, right? The collection process is automated. So what can be observed then? what can be observed? And we can observe physical movements, like trucks moving around, goods, inventories being moved around, right? Physical observation. We can observe verbal behavior of people speaking to each other, with each other, okay? Expressive behavior and physiological reactions, their facial expressions, and also their physiological reactions, right? The changes in their skin conductivities, eye pupil, enlargement or not, right? And the spatial tensions and locations. Spatial tensions and locations. The people are closer together or further apart, right? How close do they get to the other person, to an objects, or to a merchandise, right? And the locations, how do they move about? For example, a shopper moving around inside a grocery store or supermarket, okay? Temporal patterns. How long do they stay at certain points, at certain locations, or staring at certain products? Yeah. How long does it take for them to make a decision? Some may make a decision very quickly, pick up the item and go. Some may take a longer time to look, to examine, to think through, then pick up the product and go. Okay. And physical objects, of course, we can do physical objects and physical movement, verbal and pictorial records, left on social media or on cell phones, neurological activity, your brainwave activities, you can observe, and the internet activities, your browsing history, click-through history, purchase history, and the response theory to certain like surveys and other things. Okay. Geographical information. With GPS, you can collect where the person or the vehicle or the truck moved about. Okay. Physical distribution of resource, objects, merchandise, goods. Okay. Here, this example, this summary chart, it's kind of small. I want you to put it on your big screen and read it. This basically shows different types of observational behavior tracked by marketing research. Okay, for example, physical movements. The way shoppers move through shopping centers. We can use a video, GPS, and NFC. NFC stands for Near Field Communication, like Bluetooth. Right? Verbal behaviors, like a statement recorded at Walmart complaint line, posted on blogs, social networks, and sites like TripAdvisor. Okay? And voice recordings, internet archives. Expressive behavior and physiological reactions, facial expressions. We can use human observations, videos, or tools like GSR to record it. Spatial tensions, how close shoppers stand to a service provider, using human observations or video, study video. Okay. Temporal patterns, how long patients in doctor's office will wait before going to the counter to complain. Okay. Human observation or timing devices. Physical objects, human observation. Verbal, pictorial records, photographs or videos. Use data archiving techniques, human observation, neurological brain activities using facial recognition or devices like fMRI, MRI, okay? Internet activities using cookies, geographic information using GPS, physical distribution using NFC, etc. Okay. This is a good summary of different observable phenomenon and the technologies used to do the observation. Okay. There are disadvantages of observation. Right? Behavior can be observed, but the motives cannot. We can observe the behavior of human beings, but we cannot, observe their motive. It's in their head. Okay. And we can estimate, we can guess, but we cannot observe motives. Analytical models do better with predicting behavior than explaining it. We might not be able to explain it, but that might be okay for the marketing purpose. We can actually just predict it, right? To predict it. Okay? So we know what they want to do next or what they want to buy next. Okay? Observation period is often too short. You can't observe people for too long time. Okay? Obviously. Okay? The nature of observation studies. Mechanical observation, as performed by supermarket scanners or traffic counters, can very accurately record behavior that is routine, repetitive, or programmatic. Programmatic. Okay? Mechanical observations. Unobtrusive observation. Yeah. What is unobtrusive observation? There's no communication with the person being observed is necessary so that he or she is unaware that he or she is an object of research. They're not disturbed. They have no idea that they're being observed. That's called unobtrusive observation. Okay? And the visible observation. Visible observation, the observation in which the observer's presence or mechanical measurement device is obviously known to the subject. They know there's a camera looking at them, and a video camera looking at them. Okay? There's a hidden observation, observation in which the subject is unaware that observation is taking place. Hidden observation. Okay? The camera is hidden. Okay? Observations are free from nuances such as social desirability bias or memory problems. Why? Because if people don't know they're being observed, they will not do something like to display themselves as belonging to a desired social class, for example, because of social desirability bias, right? Or memory problem, because you have a record there to show what happened. Okay? You don't have to rely on your memory, to know what happened, to recall what happened. Okay? Observation of human behavior. Behavior scientists have recognized that nonverbal behavior can be a communication process by which individuals exchange meanings. Do you realize that? Do you use that? We do that all the time, right? We use nonverbal behavior to communicate, right? You heard somebody say something nice, you say, love that. Hey, give them 2 thumbs up, right? That's nonverbal behavior, right? But it can communicate. Head nods, nodding heads, smile, right? Raised eyebrows, winks, okay? And other facial expressions or body movements serve as communication symbols. Americans are pretty much very rich in our symbols and use our symbols. We always do that. Okay? Observation of nonverbal communication may hold considerable promise for the marketing researcher if you do it right and do it correctly. Okay? Here, this chart here shows some observing and interpreting nonverbal communications, facial expressions, right? Such as surprise, eye wide open, mouth rounded and slightly open, right? Broad, furrowed, okay? As consumer reacts to the price quoted by a salesperson. That, oh, so expensive, right? Body language, posture, placement of arms and legs, right? Consumer may cross arms as salesman speaks, possibly indicating a lack of trust. I don't trust you. I don't believe you. Okay. Eye activity, eye contact, staring, looking away, dilated pupils. In U.S. culture, not making eye contact is indicative of a deteriorating relationship. Okay? Not making eye contact. Dilated pupil can indicate emotion of degree of honesty. Okay? Personal space, physical distance between individuals. The US people like to be about 8 feet apart to have a discussion. Okay? As consumer may back away from salesperson who is viewed as to be violating one's personal space. Right? Gestures, like response to certain events with specific body reaction or gestures, also will win something, lose something, right? And the manners, accepted protocols for a given situation. You may shake hands, or you may not want to touch other persons, without permission, things like that. Okay, that's body language. Okay, direct and contrived observation. That's going to be in your test. Make sure you study that a while. Okay, direct observation. What is direct observation? Direct observation, a straightforward attempt to observe and record what naturally occurs. That's direct observation. The investigator does not create an artificial situation. It's natural, right? Naturally occurring. Contrived observation. What's contrived observation? It's an operation in which the investigator creates an artificial environment in order to test the hypothesis. If you ever been to a shopping mall, you might find out in the basement mall, maybe next to the management office or a police station, there could be a mock store. Sometimes they have a mock store, a fake store. It's an artificial store, and they just want to use that to test out something, yeah, and to observe people. That would be a contrived observation, right? Create an artificial environment in order to test the hypothesis. This can increase the frequency of certain behavior patterns. Okay? If situation is not contrived, the research time spent waiting, observing would expand considerably. But if you have that as in a contrived observation, then you can shorten your period of research, the time you spend on the research. Okay? Why do we use direct observation? Why use direct observation? First, it's straightforward. Okay, it's straightforward. It's economical. It doesn't cost you too much. So obtain data quickly and easily, and often the most accurate way to gather data. And has a limited flexibility because not all phenomena are observable. Okay, not all observable. There are errors associated with direct observation. When human observers record behaviors, the observer may record events subjectively. You may record events subjectively. And there is also observer bias. Observer bias. That is a distortion of measurement resulting from the cognitive behavior or actions of a witnessing observer. Your own bias. Okay? And the observer should record as much detail as possible and as objectively as possible. Pace of events, the pace of events, observer's memory, observer's writing speed, and other factors may limit the detail of what can be recorded. You can write enough, quick, fast enough, you can record everything. Okay? Complementary evidence. Observational approaches can be combined or complement with other research approaches. You can use observation together with others. Right? Survey response combined with the information on how long the respondent took to make a choice review more than either type of data. You do a survey and then do get observation, and you combine them. You can get a lot of information from that. Response latency. There's a term called response latency. That's the amount of time it takes to make a choice between two alternatives. Response latency, how fast or how slow they can choose between the two alternatives, right? We can use that as a measure of the strength of preference. Strength of preference. If you really like something, you really prefer something, it takes no time to decide to pick it. If your preference is not that strong, it may take you a lot more time to make a decision to pick it up. Okay? So that's latency. There are ethical issues in the observation of humans. Of course, as a human being, do you want to be observed, or someone observe you? If someone observes you, Do you feel comfortable? Okay, we may not feel comfortable, right? There are ethical issues in observing human, right? Observation is sometimes akin to spying. Yeah, yep. It's like spying on people. So, okay, raises questions of the respondent's right to privacy. Okay, you do not want to infringe upon other people's privacy. Okay? If the researcher obtains permission to observe someone, the subject may not act naturally. You ask permission, say, "Oh, I'm gonna observe you. I'm gonna watch you. Okay, I'm gonna spy on you." Right? The person may not act naturally. Okay, that's the issue here. New technologies afford opportunities to observe behavior of interest to marketing managers. New technologies. There is a deep pocket inspection. Deep pocket inspection refers to the ability of the internet service provider to read data, transferred by the users and transmitted by the users. Deep pocket inspection sounds quite scary, huh? And to understand, to decide if something is ethical, you may want to ask yourself a few questions here. Is behavior commonly performed in public where others can plainly see? If it is, maybe okay. If not, maybe unethical. Okay? Has the person been adequately notified that the behavior is being observed? Okay? Or has the person agreed to be observed? Right? Is the behavior performed in a setting in which anonymity is assured? Okay? You can ask this question to determine if something is ethical or not ethical. Okay? Observation of physical objects. Physical objects observation. Artifacts. What's artifacts? The things that people made and consumed. Within the culture, that signal something meaningful about the behavior or taking place at the time of consumption. Artifacts. Okay? Inventories. Inventories. That's the observation of physical objects. You're counting and recording of physical inventories through retail or wholesale audits. Okay? Inventory. Content analysis is a systematic observation and quantitative description of the manifest of content of communication. You analyze the contents. Right? Mechanical observation. There are different types of mechanical observations. There are, for example, there's television, radio, and digital monitoring. Okay? Again, there are monitoring web traffic monitoring. Okay? Scanner-based research, the laser scanners, scanner-based research. The camera surveillance. Okay? The smartphones, using smartphone to collect data. Okay? Monitoring web traffic, like web traffic and buzz. There's a term called the click-through rate, CTR, click-through rate. That's the proportion of people who are exposed to a hyperlinked internet ad who actually click on this hyperlink to enter the website. Click through. Click on the ad and enter the website. CTR, okay, in your test. Okay. Conversation volume measures the amount of internet postings that involve a specific name or term. Okay. CTR and online advertising. CTR, click-through rate. Applying CTR to the amount spent on the advertisement gives the advertiser a cost per click. A cost per click. How much you have to pay to get a click to your website. Okay. And if the company makes more than 50 cents per customer clicking through, the ads are effective. Normally 50 cents, earn 50 cents per customer. If customer click through, then your ad pretty good, effective. Okay. The example of using web stat providers, what is hot? Search hot pages. You can search hot pages, like hot topics, like Airbnb, Comcast, Uber, and Domino's, etc. Okay. Here, example of using web stat providers by Netflix. Netflix, look at all the statistics, page, and how many what's most popular websites. Okay, and the tool have toolbars and the charts to show. Okay? I mean, scanner-based research. Scanner-based consumer panel, a type of consumer panel in which the participants' purchasing habits are recorded with a laser scanner rather than a purchase diary. Before they use treasure diary, let them write down what they purchased. Now they just scan the things and record automatically. Okay, just a consumer panel. Okay. The scanner data, that's mechanical observation from the form that requires no input from customers, because scanners. Okay. Cameras surveillance, cameras planted inconspicuously in places can be useful in marketing research. But again, there is issue of privacy here. Okay. Shopping center security video can help identify problems with merchandising and type of things that attract consumers to come into and remain in the environment in a store. Okay? Smartphones. Observation from smartphone might reveal when people are happy based on their message content. Ooh, they analyze the message content to know your mood. Okay? Their political opinions, you like or dislike a certain candidates or certain opinions, when the customer may be unhappy with their smartphone or service providers. You show, right? Where a person likes to party on the weekend, where do you want to go to party on the weekend? Okay? What type of websites a person likes to visit? Your browsing history. Like other areas, technology may outpace the ethics of using this type of data. We have technology companies that have been collecting using this technology to collecting data. The ethical issue may not have been addressed properly, and so technology may outpace the ethics when using the data. Measuring physiological reactions. You can use tools, devices to measure physiological reactions of human beings. Eye tracking, used to observe an eye movement. Your eye movements around, say, for example, along the page of the ad, or the billboard, or the TV ad. Okay, where the magazine ad, where do you look first, second, etc. How much time you spend on different spot. Okay? Eye tracking. Pupil meter, used to observe and record changes in the diameter of subjects' pupils. Okay? Wow. Versus cyclogalvanometer. Cyclogalvanometer, what does it do? Measure galvanic skin response. It's a measure of involuntary changes in electrical resistance of our skin. Okay, cyclogalvanometer. Okay, you can measure that. You can use voice pitch analysis. That's a physiological measurement technique that records abnormal frequencies in the voice that are supposed to reflect emotional reaction to various, causes, signals. Okay, you become higher pitched, lower pitched, happier or sad, more sad. Okay. And neurological devices, right? You can use magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, the device, the machine that allows one to measure what portion of the brain are active at a given time. Which part of the brain is active. Okay, MRI. Okay, for your group project, okay, I'm going to announce that in the announcement as well, that you need to really think about your research question and research objectives. Again, I'll answer the announcement. Please respond to my thread and let me know how your group progressed in that group project. Okay, and don't worry about the rest at this moment. Okay. All right, I think that's all I have for this chapter. I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.